Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Today I want to talk about technology on bikes. Why we have so much tech on bikes these days, what drove it, where it stemmed from, do we have too much, is some tech on bikes unnecessary? All those sort of questions, things that exercise me when I can't sleep at night. So most of the tech that's on bikes these days stemmed initially from the car world. A lot of it did, not cornering ABS, but I mean a lot of it did. You know, we started with seat belts, you know, which are a fantastic thing, and then we had ABS, and ABS came onto bikes maybe, I'm guessing 25 years ago. I mean, I used to have a 1996 GS 1100 and that had ABS on, but certainly I think that was one of the earliest bikes to get ABS. But now we're inundated with tech. And I'm just wondering, you know, is this actually helping? So, how does tech help the rider? Bikes, like cars, have got bigger and heavier over the years. Okay, so whereas the average car would weigh less than 1,000 kilos, you know, for 30-40 years ago, they now weigh on average sort of 1,800 kilos, and bikes are getting heavier too. And the thing with bikes is, to a much lesser extent with cars, but the thing with bikes is that the laws of physics are largely what keep you safe. So on your bike, you've got two patches roughly the size of your palm that keep you in contact with the road. You know, that's the thing that's going to keep you on the grey bit and out of the green bit. Now, if you've got a bike that weighs 300-400 kilos, you still only have these two patches. And I don't care how much tech you've got on the bike, you can't defy this physics. I read recently about a new Harley Davidson. It was a special edition, something or other. I think it was called the Harley Davidson Tractor Glide. And it weighed, ready to ride, it weighed 437 kilos. Now, no disrespect to Harley Davidson riders, but the average Harley rider has got to weigh the thick end of 100 kilos. So by the time he's got him and his other half on the bike, there's another 200. So you're talking 650 kilos on these two patches of rubber. Now, whatever tech you've got on the bike is not going to stop you falling over when you've got that much weight on those bits of rubber, if you're in a situation that is going to cause a problem. So what is the tech trying to do? I get that you have ABS, although personally I have never activated ABS on a bike. I've activated it in a car, but I've never activated it on a bike, and I'm sure there's lots of people out there who are exactly the same. But it's a bit like house insurance, you know, you hope the house won't burn down, but if it does, at least you've got some insurance. But the thing is that technology to me seems to be moving away from the essence of bike riding. It's like it's taking it's forming a sort of a blur between the rawness of motorcycling and the safety of the nanny state. A good example of this, in my view, was when Marc Marquez crashed into Lorenzo. I'm pretty sure it was Lorenzo, and basically he came alongside him. They were both going around the corner, and he basically bashed into Marc Marquez in his typical sort of I don't give a fuck about anyone else way. Bashed into Lorenzo and broke one of this line that went to the back wheel. It was like the ABS sensor or something like that. Now, Lorenzo, as he left the corner, gave the bike a handful of throttle, and because this line had been broken, the bike computer just gave it full maximum revs on this back wheel, and he did a massive high side. And when this happened, and I remember it happening, and I was thinking, have we gone away from rider skill, and we're now completely relying on technology to get us out of trouble? And that's exactly what was happening there. Lorenzo, and don't get me wrong, he's a way better rider than anyone, probably almost anyone watching this video. he was relying on the technology of the bike to not high side. The anti whatever that he had on his bike was going to save him from having a massive high side. Now, 30-40 years ago, when bikes were being raced, none of this existed. You had rider skill moderating the throttle out of a corner to get them into the lead, and that's what motorcycling was about. So is the technology there designed to keep us safe? And if it is there to keep us safe, what are we losing as a result of this? I watched a program some years ago now about car technology, safety technology in cars. It was about, I can't remember what it was called. And this chap who used to work for Ford in America, he said the best safety device you could have in a car is a metal spike in the middle of the steering wheel, because no one would crash their cars. If you had a metal spike in the middle of the steering wheel, knowing you would die if you crashed, no one would crash their cars. Whereas by contrast, about 10 years ago, I read an article that kids, youth, were stealing high-end cars like S-Class Mercedes and everything in order to crash them, because they wanted the thrill of being enveloped in about 35 airbags. Because now when you crash a car, the chances of you being severely injured or dying is practically zero, because they're so safe. But the thing is, we ride motorbikes. Motorbikes are inherently dangerous, and that's part of the appeal. Part of the appeal is, you go round a corner well, or a series of corner, and you get the angle just right, and the bike's on song and everything. It's a lovely feeling. It's a great thing, and that's why we ride bikes. So, what's the tech doing? To me, it's diminishing the link between the raw essence of motorcycling and the rider. A friend of mine had, until recently, he had a KTM 1290 something or other. I don't know a lot about KTMs. And he, on this bike, it had adaptive cruise control. And now this is, to me, a perfect example of tech that is totally not needed on a bike. He was going along on the motorway, and he'd set the cruise control for, I think, 85 or something. Sensible speed on a UK motorway. And he was in lane 3, so that the fastest, generally the fastest lane, and he came upon a car doing about 60. So the bike, what he thought he'd do before he came upon this was he'd test out this thing. How does it work? So he's riding along, and he came upon a car that was doing about 60. So the bike slowed itself down, and he was riding at about sort of maybe 7,500 metres or so behind this car. Then the car moved over, went into the middle lane, and the bike just took off. It literally was like a bullet out of a gun, because it wanted to get back to 85. That's what it had been set for. So the bike's thinking, right, there's nothing in the way, I'm off. And of course, he wasn't expecting this. He thought the bike would just gently accelerate up to 85. Well, bikes don't gently anything. If you want gently, you buy a 50cc scooter. But a 1290 Duke does not gently anything. Okay? It's, as they say, it's ready to race. Well, my God, it was ready to race when that car moved out the way. And it shot off to the point that his hands came loose on the handlebars. Now, you could say, oh, well, he didn't know how it worked, he was unfamiliar and all the rest of it. Well, what is the point of technology that's going to put you in danger? To me, if your argument is that the technology is there to make you safer, then why would you have technology that would potentially put you in danger? To me, a lot of this is, and it's the same with cars, is, do we actually need people to be better riders? Do we need people to ride better, to anticipate more? You know, I watch videos on YouTube, and they sometimes there are crashes, you know, and they analyse. I know 44 Teeth have done a couple of these, and there's a crash and they analyse it and they decide who was right and who was wrong. Well, I've never watched one where, in my view, the rider was not to blame, because he either was an idiot or he didn't anticipate. And if you don't anticipate, there was one where a guy crashed into a van and the van was turning right into a junction, and the bike was trying to overtake him. Well, you think, well, why were you overtaking on a junction? You know, nobody would overtake on a junction. But the sort of consensus in the comments, certainly on this video, was that the van driver was at fault. And I thought, well, the van driver isn't at fault. Okay, maybe he didn't signal, maybe he's a student, maybe he was on the phone. Doesn't matter. As a bike rider, you are responsible for your own well-being. And my concern with technology is that this awareness of being responsible for your own well-being is in danger of being eroded because of the technology that's being introduced on bikes. So, how much tech is enough? Well, I think anti-lock brakes, they're here to stay anyway, and that's fine. You know, I think cornering ABS, like I said, I might have mentioned earlier, you know, if you're going around a corner and cornering ABS kicks in, you've lost it already. You've absolutely lost it already. And most of the time, when you see accidents where people are going around corners and they don't make the corner, is lack of skill. You know, I mean, bikes have way more capability than we do. Tyres have way more capability than we have. Nobody, or almost nobody, rides their bike and has no chicken strips. In fact, having chicken strips, it shows that you're actually probably quite a good rider, because you tend to keep the bike more upright, which is the way it likes to be. But yeah, I mean, the idea that the rider is going to be in some way insulated from being in charge of the vehicle, I do not think is a good thing. So, as you can probably tell, I have some fairly strong views on this, and I hope you don't mind me sharing them with you in the workshop. But let me know what you think. I'm sure this is a hugely contentious subject, so please do let me know what you think. If you like listening to me talk in the workshop, please like and subscribe. I very much appreciate that. And I'll be along with another video soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.